Hey guys, it's Whitney here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a speed build for you guys. Well, it's actually an apartment renovation. This is another apartment in the Spice District in San Myshuno, and this apartment is for a single dad and his toddler daughter. I've stated so many times before when it comes to me building homes or apartments that for me it's really important to kind of have in mind a backstory of the people who are living here. And so the basic backstory is that it's this dad here and he's living here in this small apartment with his little daughter. And I was kind of like thinking too, I don't, it's not really important to the build, but I was kind of thinking like how this guy ended up as a single dad. And I guess the reason why I was thinking about it is because he is a character in my Growing Together Let's Play series. And so I didn't want to like come up with anything like sad or anything like that, but while I was watching the footage back of this speed build and editing it, it kind of, I don't know, something about it kind of reminded me of this old Adam Sandler movie. I can't remember the name of it, but basically like he had this kid that was, I think it wasn't even his, but it was supposedly his, and he had the mom of the kid like decided she didn't want to be a mom anymore, and so she basically just dropped the kid off at his doorsteps. And that's kind of like the story I had in mind with this family as well, where the mom, she kind of like didn't want to be a parent, so she just dropped the kid off with the dad here. And I'm pretty sure like he didn't mind. I feel like it was definitely unexpected because he probably didn't even know that he was having a child. So I kind of like wanted to include kind of like the aspect of, he wasn't like, this was like his bachelor pad, and he had to adapt and make the space fit for him to have a daughter. And it was kind of like all of a sudden. So I kind of wanted to include aspects of things that looked like it would fit in like a single guy, young adults guy, whatever he is. Like, I wanted things to like look like that, but I also wanted to include like little bits and pieces of like, a child moving in here. So right here we see like this table that's like has all these stickers in it, and I kind of like see him as like, he might have once before he had his daughter, he used to go out a lot because they do live in the city of San Martino. So he probably like picked up random stickers, and like he probably, threw a lot of parties, even though I don't believe like Alonzo, the single dad, I don't believe like he's a super party guy, but he was a young adult and he enjoyed getting out and socializing in the city. And that is how he ended up meeting his daughter's mother. And they hooked up or whatever. And um you know now he's a single dad and he's like trying to raise her. And I also wanted to kind of like include like certain elements of him kind of like not abandoning his dreams, but kind of like packing them away. And so that's kind of like what you see in like the closet area and like the main entrance areas, him like kind of like packing up certain things. And like, it's like things that you don't really think about until you have a child. And especially with him, like it's kind of like been sprung on him all of a sudden. So I kind of like see him as like a guy who really liked hanging out with his friends, playing basketball, going to the gym and stuff like that. And now that he has a daughter, maybe he doesn't have as much time to do those things like he used to. And so he kind of like has these things packed away, but they're not like completely put away, so that he can't like he still does these things, it's just not as frequently as he used to before he had his daughter. And I noticed with this pack that I've used, well, actually, I've been using it in quite a few of my more recent builds. I've been really using the clutter kits that have came out. And I used to be like, I don't know, I used to really hate the idea of kits, and I always said that I would never buy them. And I don't have all the kits either. Like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the kits. It's just because I feel like on one hand, like I can get this so much more stuff like for free with custom content, but I don't know. It's just like for me, I feel like with the kits, it's like you only get a little bit of items for what I feel is like overpriced, especially considering you can get these things for free. But I don't know. I feel like because I'm trying to do builds that other people can download easily off the gallery, so I try to make my builds with as little to no CC as possible. And I also feel really tempted to buy the kits because I don't know, it's like filler content for when you're waiting for an expansion pack to come out or a new game pack to come out or anything like that, because I don't know, I get bored easily, especially when it comes to using the same items over and over again, because I feel like with most packs they're very niche. So like depending on who you are, you either really love the items that came with it and you use them a lot, or you don't really like the items and you barely use them. So it's like with kits, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just like that extra little bit of content, and it's really tempting to buy it. But I'm kind of like in the same boat as like most sim players, especially if you're, you know, you're not making money from making content, or you know, you're not sponsored in any way by EA and getting free packs. So it's like you really have to, I don't know, be more mindful about like what you spend your money on. Is it worth buying for you? And I don't know, like I get them when I have the extra money to get them, but other than that, like if I don't really feel interested in it, then I won't. But I'm like the type of builder that I really really love clutter, because it gives the house or the space so much more personality than, I guess, you know, some people like minimalism, but that's not really my thing. But lately I have been thinking about making more minimalistic type builds, or like, I don't know, builds where they are like kind of like move-in ready type homes, where kind of like similar to like The Sims 2, because I have been playing The Sims 2 a lot more off camera than I have been playing The Sims 4. And one thing I liked about The Sims 2 is the homes are very build in, like move in ready. Like when you move your sim in, and really all you have is, well, most homes you do, they come with the counters and the fridge and like the bathroom stuff already set. And that's very realistic to like real life, where you know you're not going to move into a house and it's not going to have the counters and the plumbing already in there. Usually that stuff already comes in there. And I've talked about a lot how I like to think of like the realistic aspects of the home. And so the same applies here with like this apartment. And in my mind, the Spice District is like the most, like more lower income housing. So I try to include that aspect as well. Like I don't like this yellow wallpaper, and I don't know, I feel like that's really realistic to have it in here though, because like in, especially in like apartments, well, most apartments, you don't really control like things like the wallpaper and the flooring. It's stuff that you kind of like have to live around. Like kind of, it's most like, for most people it's like you're just moving into a space because you need a roof over your head. And for most people, you know, if you don't have the extra income, you're gonna like just move in wherever it's available or wherever you can afford, wherever, whatever has like the most things that you need. And so I don't, like I mentioned, like I don't like this wallpaper, but I think it's really cool to include things like that, because in real life you might realistically move into a space where you don't really like the flooring or the wallpaper, but it's kind of like you just have to, you know, bring in like furniture pieces that you do like, or decorations that you do like, so you can ignore the ugly wallpaper and like the messes. And you know, I really like the stained wallpaper that came with the City Living pack, because you know, people probably have lived here and they probably put stains on the walls, or there's probably other issues going on with the walls and the landlord probably didn't really pay attention to it. I feel like there's this thing that I've been seeing on TikTok where like a lot of landlords will just like paint over everything white, and just, you know, everything, like every issue, they just paint over with white paint, and to them it's fixed. And they, you know, they show it to people and like, here, yeah, we remodeled this, but really all they did was like slap some white paint on it. I believe I've talked about this before too, but when it comes to apartment renovations, I find them a little bit more difficult for me anyway than like house renovations or anything like that. And I know there are like cheats and things that you can use to bypass a lot of the limitations, but I don't know. I don't know. I like the idea of doing apartment renovations because they can usually be done really quick. And with me, if I have like a big enough space, like it takes me forever to do a build, because like I want to utilize all the space or as much of it as I can. And I don't know, something about like having a limited space, it really puts me in the mindset of like what is really essential. Because other than that, like if I have like no limitations at all. Like I tend to get like really distracted on like the small things like clutter and like I don't know, it's just like small things that most people will just but I don't know, it's like weird seeing, other builders, they know exactly what they want and for me like I have to like I don't know exactly what I want to put in a build until like I've scrolled through the entire catalog over and over again and a lot of that I do tend to edit out but sometimes I do keep it in. Let me know down below like if you want to see more like footage of me like just going through build by because I feel like it's kind of like interesting to see because like mentioned before like sometimes when I'm watching other people do speed builds it can kind of be like discouraging because it's like they know exactly what they want and I don't know, I feel like kind of like a bad builder because it's like I don't know exactly what I want. I'm kind of like just going with the flow a little bit and like just winging it basically. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I kind of like that imperfection too because I feel like, especially with this build here where it's like the single dad living with his daughter, I don't know, I kind of like that imperfection because like in real life, like not everyone's homes are gonna be super aesthetically pleasing like it especially with I'm not gonna say especially with guys because I feel like that's stereotypical because I don't know I feel like the stereotype is that like guys don't know how to decorate their homes which I don't think is true. There probably are guys out there who do know how to decorate their homes but I don't know I feel like with this guy in particular like he's not worried about aesthetics, he's just worried about like his things that he likes, his TV and having things that he enjoys when he comes home from work or something like that. And another thing that I did add in to this apartment is light switches, which I don't put in a lot of my homes, especially if when I'm like building like a normal house because I feel like it's too much, it's too like tedious to like make sure that the light switches are in all the rooms, they're in there and that they're in the right spot. But I will do the light switches like for something small like an apartment. But I don't know, I feel like I like the idea of light switches even though they don't work because I don't know, it's like something about my brain is like it has to make sense and I know, like, for me personally, like, I do not walk into a room if it's dark. Like, I need the light switch to be at my reach because before I enter a room, if the lights are off, I have to reach my arm in there first. Before I put any other part of my body in that room, my arm has to be able to reach the light switch and turn it on before I step foot into a room. I don't know if I'm the only person that's like that. I highly doubt it. I know there's probably other people who are weird like that um, but yeah, let me know in the comments if you are like that too, because I think that's kind of funny. Um, Another thing that I have issues with when it comes to apartment renovations is that it's super small, and especially like with this apartment in like in general. Like it only comes with one bedroom and one bathroom, and so it was kind of like a challenge to try to fit two bedrooms in here because I really wanted the daughter to have her own room. I was trying to think of like what that room used to be before, um, Alonzo had to make it into a space for his daughter. But I was kind of thinking that maybe he had like roommates and or another roommate who lived with him, and that other roommate had to move out when his daughter came in because I kind of think in my head like I just be making up stories in my head and I've kind of like in my head I picture the roommate as being kind of more disruptive and more into the bachelor lifestyle than Alonzo. Um, and so he had to ask his guy friend to move out and find a new place to stay where he could be disruptive and as loud as he wanted to. And so he went ahead and basically renovated the space to fit his daughter. And I also kind of think in my mind that with the bedrooms, because I feel like, in some apartments, my landlord doesn't do this, but I've heard in like other apartments that they do checks. They come in and check your apartment and make sure you're not doing anything crazy in there, and you're following the rules and the lease agreement and stuff like that. And so in my mind, I feel like the landlord here doesn't really check thoroughly all the rooms. They kind of like just come and check the main area of the home. But I feel like the landlord, in my mind, of the landlord of all the apartments in the Spice District, that they're pretty lazy. I mean, I don't want to say lazy, but it's like they don't really care as long as you know you're not doing anything illegal or like, I don't know. Jeffrey Dahmer just popped in my head, and I kind of think of like, they didn't have any like a landlord or anyone to like check the apartments, especially with like the complaints and the smells and stuff like that. That's kind of wild to me. But I kind of feel like the landlord here is kind of like not really interested or doesn't really want to do their job and doesn't want to do a whole lot of snooping. So I feel like Alonzo, he went ahead and painted his daughter's room pink. And yeah, I feel like too with like a lot of the posters that I use for Alonzo's room, it's kind of like I feel like he was once in university, and that kind of like explains like his partying days. But I don't feel like he was super into partying. I think it was just like a part of his lifestyle, because I feel like he was, very athletic. Um, and I feel like in his room, I wanted to include a lot more of his past lifestyle. And I feel like in the main living room area, you do get like little glimpse of his past lifestyle, but it's like he's also having to include more things for his daughter. But I feel like his room area, it's more him, and you kind of get a a glimpse of like his interest. Like he might be into movies or anime and stuff like that, and sports, of course. And he was, I feel like he was probably in school to do sports, and he was hoping to have a future in sports, but he had his daughter, and he had to focus on that. But in my Growing Together Let's Play, he is kind of like an important character. He's really just like the counselor. I kind of made like a youth club, and he is the coach of the youth basketball team. He's kind of like basically the the leader of the youth club in general. They do other activities too, but he's mostly passionate about basketball and teaching kids how to play basketball. Um, and then we have his daughter's room. There isn't much to say about it. I kind of struggled with like how I wanted to place things in. I don't know. It was just weird because I feel like I go all out for my children's rooms, but I feel like I didn't want to go super all out for this one, because I feel like he's still trying. I feel like he doesn't really know how to decorate a child's room. He's just like getting like maybe random things that he thinks that she'll like or enjoy or will think is pretty, but maybe like when she gets older, she'll be able to decide for herself like what does she want. I actually forgot these little butterflies things existed in the game. I think they came with like the little kid stuff pack, I think, and I really like them, and now probably you'll use them a lot more often now that I know that they're in the game. I mean, I knew they were in game, I just forget, and I feel like that's not why another reason why it takes me so long to go through builds, because I just go through over and over the entire build and buy catalog. But I think that was pretty much it for this build, except for the bathroom. But I don't really have anything to say about the bathroom except for, I don't like doing bathrooms, and I have a tendency to do those rooms last because I don't like doing them. And I mean, like, because I feel like it's like the most boring room in the house. Like, it doesn't really serve a huge purpose except to, use the bathroom and take a shower. And so it's like, what can you do for that room except for like put a shower and a toilet in there? But I really like how this apartment turned out. You can download it off the gallery. Apartment builds are a little bit more complicated to download because you can't, well, they're more complicated to upload because I don't think there's a way you can upload the apartment as an apartment. So what I had to do was turn on move objects, the cheat move objects, and I basically had to delete a wall for every room, and it makes sure that when I clicked on the apartment, it popped up as a room. So you have to upload it to the gallery as a room, and then you have to download it off the gallery as a room. And then once you place it in the apartment that you want it to, you have to replace all the walls, so it shouldn't be easy. I mean, it shouldn't be hard. I mean, and yeah, you can just use the little eyedropper tool to replace the wallpaper that's missing. And unfortunately, that's how you download apartments to the game, because even though City Living is like had came out a lot like a long time ago, they have not adjusted the gallery. Well, at least I don't think they have. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but the last time I checked, that's the way that you had to do it. I will put down below my gallery ID thing so that you can find this build or other builds that you might be interested in. But I really appreciated you if you stuck around to the end of this video, and I hope you like this video and also this build. Please let me know in the comments down below if you did, and if you don't want to comment, then let me know that you like this build by liking this video. And if you want to see more builds and let's plays, don't forget to subscribe, and I would appreciate it so much if you did. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we will play again later. I always forget to mention as well to stick around to the very end, because I always include either like footage or pictures of the build, because I know when it's sped up like this, it's kind of hard to see everything that's going on. But at the end, you will see a little video clip of me walking through the apartment basically, so that you can see like everything that I included. But of course, you won't be able to see everything unless you download the build off the gallery and play with it. And I hope if you do download it off the gallery that you enjoy playing with this apartment.